All right, good morning. I am Darlene Barker. I'm from University of Massachusetts in Lowell. My advisor is not going to be joining today, so it's just me. And I would like to go over this. Okay, so how this project started. I was across thousands of miles away from home, and I caught myself touching the screen when I was talking to my children or family members. You can hear, you can see, but that wanting to give a hug, but you can't. So this is where this started. This is the first paper, basically planting the seed, the start of the research, although there are two other papers that are being worked on. So what we can do in VR, you can pick things up, you can move things around, but the act of knowing what you touch, that feeling the condensation, you can't. Okay, but we're looking at what you can do. Okay, you can watch movies, you can participate in activities, you can play games, be immersed in a virtual world. You can present to a virtual audience, fly like a bird, create artwork, design a home. There are a lot of things you can do. Do college campus visits. It's a lot more fun than doing it in person with teenagers. Uh, read books, visit showrooms, play extreme sports. But this is where our research comes into play. You can, as I said earlier, you can feel an object, but you don't know if you can't really feel an object when you pick it up, whether it's glass, plastic, whatever. You are not able to, you can see that you bumped into someone in a virtual world. You could see it, you could feel feedback, but well, you get feedback, the vibration, whatever, the visual that you did bump into someone, but they can't feel, that tactile sensation that you get when you push on the skin. They can't feel that. And also, when you touch someone, this finger's cold, so you can't really feel, what's being done to you in VR. So this is where our research comes to play. The problem: your world is being manifested with sound and visuals. It's good, okay? We have other senses, and it would be more fun if we could bring the body into the world as well, versus being manipulated by hands. So this is where touch comes to play. Bring the body back into the equation. And there are also in interpersonal relations, communication. Like I'm standing here, all these things, excuse me. Um, this body language, these are things that you don't capture in VR, and this is part of the problem that we are trying to solve. So, how we touch in VR: feedback in the controllers, haptic gloves to move. Basically, you manipulate the world. You're not really part of the world, you're manipulating it. So, so what we're proposing to simulate closeness in the sense of bringing your bringing yourself into the world more. And I'll go into that as I go along. Using haptic devices, some that are already there. I have this dream. I said I am taking ownership of this one because it's a little far-fetched, is having smart garments that you collect data from the skin, and you also provide feedback, that push, that's static or whatever. So that's where daydream going. Use machine learning for the emotion recognition, because touch affects emotions, okay? It heightens our connection with whatever we're doing. So, okay. So the idea is we're bringing the body back into VR. And as I said, there are four pieces of the interpersonal communication. There's the emotions, the speaking, the facial expression. So if I was standing here doing this, well, we do this, 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 and this, and I wasn't interested in what I was doing, I'd probably put you all to sleep. And I'm not pretending. I am actually pretty excited about this because we have our visual is covered, our auditory is covered. If we can put touch into it, it puts us closer to getting more of our senses covered in VR. So back to this here. So our emotions, our voice, our facial expression, and touch, those four things, you know, they're not just one variable you can pass through. They're all these bits and pieces that you could put together to in person. Oh dear, sorry. When you're talking to someone in person, you read their body language, and you know that maybe if they pull away a little bit, that maybe you're being a little too excited about what you're doing. So you adjust your behavior. Now, this is all going to make sense in a few slides coming, okay? All right, so touch. The reason why I'm thinking touch is so critical, it's that if we can tap into the primal parts of ourselves and put that into VR, it would really help, okay? And this is why I have this idea. At birth, the first thing we learn is touch. And I won't go into detail, I'm a parent. Anyways, but touch deepens our experience. As a child, you see something and you see it, but then you have to touch it to make it real. So that's the, anyways. So how we're proposing doing this. These are all broad strokes. Some of these I've played with in the past, little bits and pieces, and I'll go into detail with that. So we're thinking recreating physical tactile sensations in VR is at the core of making this possible. That touch, you know, collect and return, you know, that back and forth. If we can get that working, the rest of it will work, is what I'm thinking. Then there's machine learning algorithms to detect emotions. A couple semesters ago, I worked on a project where we were able to detect pain. You know, when you see the doctor, you have 1 to 10, how much pain you're experiencing. And we were able to use sensors and detect how much pain, whether you're having lots of pain, no pain, whatever. So using that idea, that's part of the research that we will be doing. But there are other sensors we can also collect other bits of data, which I'll go into in a little bit. So using haptic devices to deliver the simulation of touch between users via sensors or user and objects using smart garments via wearable devices. Now, another part of this that's not just the touch is the facial expressions, capturing from the VR device. HP Omniscient has all these little extras that I'm hoping to use in the coming semester. And this will help with the body language cues, so you can track where the eyes are looking. That's a little bit of data. I'm not sure how we'll use it, but capture as much as we can, process it, and figure out if we can recognize the emotions correctly. So another thing is speech. Yes, we can hear and We can talk, and what's being said isn't always what is being said by body language cues. So we want to study the speech and help add to the collection of emotions data. Now, this is the this is the part where we're using all of this data. The avatar in the world will reflect what the data says. It's not a pre-baked visual. It's if it's happy, if the emotion is happy, it will be happy. If it's sad or cold or whatever. So that's where all that data comes together. Okay. Now, the big idea, the big picture is haptic devices and tactile sensations to recreate, well, to simulate as close to real touch and emotions in VR using smart garments. My idea is fabrics would be awesome to work with. I have tons of sketches. Yes, I do have sketches. Can't really see them very well, but anyways, I have tons of sketches of what I think would be useful to be able to give a hug, to be able to shake a person's hand and hold the hand, the elbow, not just the finger manipulating, or the hand with wires everywhere trying to give a handshake. Now, the machine learning algorithms, I have played with that, but that's an area where I'll have to branch off and spend a lot of time in. Thank you. Now, all of this is to bring the body into VR. Right now, the body is outside and we're just kind of playing and manipulating, which is awesome. I'm not saying it's bad, but I want to put the body in there. Okay, now the applications. Improve social interactions. I started this before COVID, and I felt like I was a little crazy thinking that we need this. And my first convention we were supposed to present the paper at, it got canceled. So in a weird way, COVID, no, we should be able to use this now. Anyhow, video games. Making us a little bit more accountable for our behavior in multiplayer games. Not judging. I'm a gamer, so it's an area where I also make video games, and I would love to be able to add emotions to the video game world, and touch would be awesome to add. Just walk up behind the big scary person and touch them on the shoulder and scare the bejesus out of them. That would be a good fun gameplay in some way. Anyways, prosthetics, stress management, virtual healthcare services. So when you have children, you need to bring them to all these well children visits, and they're not always vaccination visits. It's, check to make sure they're okay. Or now that we're in COVID, we need to see the doctor of physicals that don't require lab work. This is something that could be done. They get all the biometrics from the visit, and we're all set, Anyhow, moving on. Virtual education. We have the regular lectures, but then there are labs that need to be done. This could be an opportunity to do lab work. Now, retail, being able to feel the texture of what you're buying and decide, well, I like that dress versus that dress, or or I want to pick up the CD and hold it in my hand before people don't buy CDs. Anyways, therapeutic services. This is an area which this could be useful. Soldiers coming back with PTSD, or not just soldiers, but people dealing with things that put them in that mental airspace where they need help. This could be useful. and situations where physical interaction is not possible. I think this could be an awesome opportunity. Now, my conclusion, I say I a lot because it was my crazy idea. I want to create something that rivals in-person communication, but not replace it. I want to create something that's an alternative that can help us. And I want to enrich human life. And I do want to leave a mark on the universe. And that's my ego speak. And that's it. Now,